Andrew here at Go Pro Wrestling. I'm standing with one of the nicest guys I know, but also one of the toughest in that octagon and in that squared circle, Dan the Beast Severn. Thank you so much for joining us.
I sound so scary, the Beast. Grrr.
I actually interviewed you, I don't know if you remember, when I was like 15 years old for our old newsletter. It was called Ace in the Info. That was like I was like 15 years old in the 1990s.
No, ironically, on that same note, I've been teaching like the sport of wrestling since I started my journey in 1969. I've been teaching since 1971. I happened to be out in Las Vegas one day for a big convention taking place, and just like this, I like to walk around every now and then to see some of the stuff, shake some hands of the people I've seen in the past. And as I'm walking through there, and literally you got to realize there's thousands and thousands of people in this big convention. And as I'm walking down this aisle, I hear someone say, "Hey, Coach." And I'm thinking, I hear it, but I go, it can't be for me. I keep walking. It goes, "Hey, Coach Severn." I turn around and I see this man mountain of an individual. He's wearing military garb, stuff like this. And I walk up to him. I go, "You have the upper hand on me." I said, "Do I know you?" He says, "I don't expect you to remember me." He goes, "I went to your wrestling camp when I was in junior high." And I'm like, "My little Billy, how you have grown." So it's kind of cool that to be around as long as I have, but yet to instill a lot of those virtues of them that you may not go on to be a great wrestler, you may not go on to be a great fighter or things of nature, but the fact that I instilled character type traits to try your best things of nature. And he even said that he remembers certain things that I've said that still carries to him to this day. So that, I call it making a difference one person at a time.
Now, you're very famous with Ken Shamrock. Everybody knows of that rivalry in that octagon. Do you still get along with him today, or you don't get along? Do you have any kind of relationship with Ken Shamrock?
You know, you thump somebody and they never write, they never call. No more Christmas cards. I don't understand it right now, you know? No, I don't care for the man because he's, well, the word is called sham. His name tells it all. Shamrock, he's a sham. He's a fictitious type of person, and I hate to kind of expose him like that, but I wasted 5 months training for what was going to be our third and final match. For him only to bail out 9 days before. For that, I will never forgive him, because 5 months out of my life, that's not cool. Not cool whatsoever.
And you won the first fight, you guys.
He won the first fight. I won the second fight. This was going to be the rubber match, but at the same token, really was it the rubber match? No, because I look at it this way. I've competed my entire life chemical free. He can't say that. He's tested positive on a couple occasions for steroids, but then also for I'm drawing a blank there. He's on something else there on top of things. So, but and I pride myself in the fact that I'm lifetime chemical free. I do speak with kids. I do things. I would have more respect for him if he simply said, you know, guys, do as I say and not as I did. I went down this path and I don't do it anymore because of this, and this. You know, that's where, you know, we're here actually at a professional wrestling convention. Now, let's face it, the industry of professional wrestling has a great deal of drug problems with it. It's a lot of growth hormones, a lot of steroids are with it, but then, you know, all kinds of other party favors. In my own competitive career, I have already outlived 5 of my cage fighting opponents and almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners, and none of them are older than me. That's, I think, a lot to do with lifestyle choices.
You look like you could be in the octagon right now. I mean, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm heading towards 60. So it's not the real color of the hair. I'm just glad I got hair to throw a box of magic to it, because I have to keep the mustache look at least a little bit dastardly now. That's my trademark. Much like with Don Fry's, but his is actually bigger and bolder yet.
Why people were excited when you came into the WWF then, WWE in 1997, 1998. How come your run did not last as long in the WWF?
Pure speculation on my part. Probably because there were no controlling parameters on me. What I mean is that I was, as far as I know, the first and the only non-exclusive wrestler. I could work for anybody. So I was working for the NWA at the time, and I was working for, I think, like 35 different promoters there. But I was not exclusive to NWA. So I was working for NWA, I'm working for WWF, but then I could work for anybody else, including WCW and ECW, because they both existed at the time. And I think that they were worried that, well, if we put a strap on him, who's to stop him from going over to one of these other organizations and dropping our strap to there? Now, obviously, if that was the thought that went through their mind, they don't know who Dan Severn is and what I'm all about. I'm not about to wear a strap that is a great contribution. Well, not contribution, maybe, but it stands for something. I'm not going to be the WWF, heavyweight champion, just like I'm not going to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm not going to go out there and do the job for, say, Doink the Clown. Okay, I'm not going to do that kind of stuff there, because that's belittling of that strap, and I would never do that. But I don't think they ever really knew what they had when they had with a person like me. I am that throwback of days gone by. I probably should have been born into the industry when it was in the old territorial type days. When you had literally real shooters that would carry the belt, so that when you'd be in the ring like this, you would make the announcements, and any man, woman, or child that could step in the ring and and can last 5 minutes with the champ will get $10,000. That used to be legit, knowing that whatever local came into the ring, that the champ was going to put down hard and fast. So when Billy Bob goes back up in the audience, the people says, it's got to be real. Look what just happened to one of our own. So that was the premise, but because of liability, that can't do that anymore.
What do you think of Brock Lesnar's transition from UFC, the WWE, went back to the UFC for a one-time fight, and now back with WWE?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's for money. So is it for the sake of competition? No. I always tell people, can I really say anything negative about that? No, I really can't say anything negative about that, because it's an opportunity that he's able to create for himself. I actually look upon the companies as being the wrongdoers, not Brock. If you're going to give him an opportunity and he can make that kind of money, just like Conor McGregor and Mayweather, they're the show right now. Will it live up to the hype? I don't think so.
What do you think of, you've had a lot of memories with Owen Hart. You've wrestled with him and tagged with him. You have any memories of Owen Hart?
Oh, no, a number of them. I mean, when I first came on the scene right there, I mean, I was sitting back and I kind of watched Owen. Owen was a prankster. He was like that mischievous child, and he just got the greatest pleasure just by doing things and going back, and you could just see the sparkle in his eyes and stuff like that. And then,
did he ever rib you?
At different ways he was trying to get to my goat, but I'm a pretty tough nut to crack right there. But it was a lot of fun going to his parents' home, sitting up in the living room, and actually talking with Stu, his dad, for a while they were setting up the cameras, shoot the sounds and stuff like that, so that they had the dungeon match there between Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock, and I was a special guest referee. So I really enjoyed the fact that I'm in his house, I'm speaking with his dad, and even like a week or so later, because I was not a full-time wrestler. I was only wrestling 60 days a year. So I saw Owen like a week or two later. He came up to me and he gave me one of his shirts, but it was signed by his dad, because his dad didn't have a shirt. He said, my dad really thought a lot about you. He wanted you to have this. I thought that's pretty cool.
What is the best advice anybody in the profession has ever given you, and who was that?
Well, I would say probably there's two people really I can credit for my professional wrestling career. A gentleman that's no longer here. His name is his ring name was Denny Cass. His real name was Dennis Kasperwitz. His real job was he worked in the Ford automotive industry, but he loved professional wrestling. And he used to do a lot of legit techniques built into his professional matches, but also Al Snow, because Denny was the person that brought me down to Lima, Ohio, to this gym called Body Slammers Gym, and I first met Al at that point in time. What a great guy Al is. On top of that, he's a great trainer and just a wonderful human being.
And final question: who in the WWE today, or in wrestling in general, do you see as a future star?
Well, see, that's a question I really can't answer, only because I really don't watch the current product. I just don't watch a lot of television, period. If you ask me the same thing about the Ultimate Fighting Championship, I really couldn't even say the same thing, because I have so many projects that I'm working on right now that I don't watch television other than maybe a select movie or a documentary or something. Well, don't get me wrong, I usually start my day with something comical, so I'll jump onto YouTube just to see some stupid skit so I could get a little chuckle yuck yuck, and usually that's one of the last things to do at night, because I believe that it helps put your mind and your body in a good state of attitude to accomplish as much as possible.
Has Dana White ever reached out to you? I mean, you were one of the cornerstones and the founding legends of the UFC before it was this big conglomerate that it is now. Has he ever contacted you about coming back, or?
Well, no, I mean it. In the beginning, when after I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was, Dana White was having his secretary reach out to me and say that, Dan, part of being a Hall of Famer, you get free tickets to go to their shows and stuff like this. And I go, I appreciate that. Well, they would call me almost every month, and then to the point that, but I never went. Then they're like, well, we'll fly you in. Dana, it's just like, well, Dana said, we'll fly you in, we'll put you up the whole 9 years. I appreciate what you're offering me. And it's not that I'm being disrespectful. I'm not being ungrateful. I'm just busy on my weekends. I'm still doing professional matches. I was still doing MMA matches. I'm teaching seminars and things of that nature. I always tell people, during my career, I made thousands of dollars. I didn't make millions of dollars, but can I say anyone done me wrong? No. I made the most money at the time. If you looked at what did a football player, what did a baseball player, what did a hockey player make 20 years ago, and what do they make today? Worlds of difference of what those salary caps are now. I made the most at the time, and I looked upon it as really, when I first jumped into it, it was nothing more than a test, a skill. Can I get to them before they get to me? So I would have never entered boxing or kickboxing because I don't possess those skills. You allow me to use my wrestling. You must be within arm's distance to strike me. You must be within legs distance to kick me. I was always good about staying just outside of range. You throw, you recoil back, I slide it up to you, I clinch you. I take you down, or I jam you up the cage wall, and I say, hello, and welcome to my world.
Mr. Severn, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, the only thing I'd say is if you want to know more about what I'm up to, go to my website at www.dansevern.com, because I have a multitude of projects that I'm working on that are going to benefit a lot of different people. I have my own MMA company called Danger Zone MMA. I have my own professional wrestling company known as POG, which stands for Price of Glory. Facebook page, Price of Glory Wrestling. Okay, so there's a lot of projects I'm involved with, a lot to do with first responders, but then also our military that's coming back. I have stuff that I'm working on that's going to help our soldiers with PTSD and things of that nature. So there's a lot of things that people don't see when I'm working on. But rest assured, I will be making some announcements, and it's going to benefit a lot of different people.
What do you think of with the things going on right now with Donald Trump and now with North Korea, with the country? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, of course I do. I mean, it's how much of it is how much of it is real, how much of it is over embellished. I learned a word called propaganda. I learned it oh so well way back in 1976. I made my first international, one of my first international trips. I went to the United States enemy at that point in time, because all the propaganda that the Americans are being fed here right now. We're in a Cold War with what is now known as Russia, but was known as the Soviet Union back then. So I'm going there the first time, but I'm actually talking with these athletes behind closed doors, and I'm realizing they're no different than us. they don't like their government most of the way we don't like our own government. Which brings me to like points like, why are our senators and our Congress, why do they have different health benefits than us? I do believe the Constitution says we the people, not us and you all. And I guarantee you, because they're having all these problems about voting things, if all of those Congress and senators were on Obamacare, there would be some changes made because they would not like it. I'm not trying to be political, but I would say that common sense is not a very common factor anymore. Stupidity is running rampant, and a lot of times it's our leadership that might need to go back to the classroom and understand a little bit more how to really become a leader.
Thank you so much. Dan the Beast Severn, folks.
Scholar.